Alright, this is a special video. And I get asked all the time, why is Angie the unicorn? So, today being our third anniversary seemed like a really good time to explain why the unicorn. Plus, she's not here right now. So I can record this without her knowing, and she'll see it when you guys do. So, why the unicorn? Well, just over 3 years ago, I had been in a really bad place, just gotten divorced, and I went on a couple of really bad dates. I mean, they were awful. And I was ready to give up, and a friend of mine said, hey, join this local singles Facebook group. And I did. And like a couple days in, they had one of those, what's your dirty elf? I mean, it's Christmas time. What's your dirty elf name? And I put mine, and I got Facebook. I got suspended from Facebook. And I challenged it and ended up the next day getting unsuspended. But regardless of that, one of the admins in the group, I messaged her and I said, hey, by the way, this is getting people suspended. You might want to consider taking it down. And they eventually did. She messaged me back the next morning and said, well, yeah, this happened to... I got this message from several people, so that was that. They ended up taking the post down, but it was just a little introduction, and we kind of started joking back and forth about little things, and then we messaged back and forth all that day. Well, not all that day. For about 4 hours, we messaged back and forth, and she asked me a question, and it was one of those. I said, well, it's going to take forever to try and type this out. And she said, well, just call me. So I did. That first phone call lasted, I answered that question in about 10 or 15 minutes. That first phone call lasted probably 6 hours. Now, prior to, obviously the bad divorce, I was left in really bad shape in a number of ways, financially, and the way things were. So everything was a struggle at that point in time, and it just seemed like I didn't know how bad things really were until I started getting this bill or that bill. It was one crisis after another. And every time I got this little bit of crisis, and I talked to Angie every day, but every time I had some big problem come up, I would call Angie. And I didn't always tell her what was going on. It was more, I just wanted to talk to her. We had our first date 3 years ago today. It went wonderfully, obviously. We spent, I think we met for dinner at like 7:30, and she headed home around 1 o'clock in the morning. We drove around looking at Christmas lights and whatnot, and we continued talking day after day. And like I said, every time something went wrong, I would call Angie. And then, like, sometimes while we were on the phone and sometimes after we hung up, all of a sudden, XYZ problem would be solved. And it happened repeatedly. One problem after another would just find a resolution. Something would pop up, some way of solving said problem. And it kept happening for quite a while. And then, not very much longer, I got a new job and moved in with her. And then anytime since I have met her, anytime things have gone wrong, just talking to her, just seeing her, just being around her sometimes is enough that the problems go away. They just seem to find a resolution, or we just seem to, it solves itself, whatever the case may be. So after about 4 months of all these problems disappearing, every time I talked to her, I started calling her a unicorn, because literally it was just magical. it's not just her magic power, although I do tell her I need her to use her magic unicorn powers from time to time. But it's not just that. Have you seen her smile when she's streaming? Have you seen her laugh? I mean, you completely understand. It's I can walk through Walmart with her in another state. I could go through a store in another country with her, and by the time we left, there would be 10 people more smiling than when we walked in there, and she would have made 3 new friends at minimum. There has never been anywhere we have gone where she hasn't made a friend, where she hasn't made people smile, and it's just the way she is. And to this day, it amazes me. And I'll give you a really good example here. Not long ago, my youngest daughter and I and Angie were going around spending the afternoon together. We went into this Goodwill, and my kid and I, we were looking at books, and then we turn around and we see Angie, and she's talking to this older lady. And as we walked by, we saw some chairs. We were going to go sit down and chit chat, and we saw the chairs. So we walked by, and I overhear this lady talking about her husband, something being wrong with him. Didn't think much of it. Sat down, we talked. A little while later, we get up, we meet Angie at the car, and we leave. Later that night, I got the whole story of this lady and her struggles and everything she's going through. And Angie stood there and cheered that woman up. I mean, that is just the person she is. And she doesn't, all her volunteer stuff that she did, she never wanted acknowledged for it. Nobody beyond me will ever know everything that woman does for the people around her. And not just, random people sometimes. She'll just do some little thing, sometimes some big thing. Nobody will ever know what she does. In fact, today is our 3rd anniversary. She's taken her cousin to Oklahoma City to get fitted for a new prosthetic. I mean, that's my sweetheart. That's why she's called the unicorn. She was by my side when I had the heart attack. Then we found out it was 2 heart attacks. She is definitely on my case about making sure I stay healthy. I'll tell you that. And make sure I walk every day. But she is by far the most amazing woman in the world. And I try and tell her every single day. At any room she walks into, if you watch that room, she walks in with a smile and the whole room brightens. And it does. And I've seen it so many times, and it still to this day amazes me. People are drawn to her. People share things with her. People talk to her. And she's the shoulder for everybody in the world. And she's always there for everybody in the world. She's never let somebody down. I don't think she knows how to let anybody down. She's going to be there when she's needed. And, for 3 years, that has been her, and all I can do is do my absolute best to be there for her day in and day out. And I had to tell you, it is an honor and a privilege to be with her. So that is why and how she got the nickname, the Unicorn. And until the day I die, she will be my unicorn. And she'll be streaming tomorrow. Look at that smile. It'll change your whole day, folks. We'll see you live here in a bit. Have a great one.